everyone, welcome to a practical guide for integrating physical wellness into our busy schedules. My name is Virginia Shingleton, and I'm a volunteer with the National Flute Association. The NFA was founded in 1972 as a common ground for flutists to exchange ideas and inspiration. In the years since, it has grown to become one of the world's largest flute organizations with members from all 50 states and countries across the globe. We invite all of you to become NFA members if you haven't already and take advantage of our year-round benefits, including a subscription to the Flutist Quarterly, borrowing privileges from our sheet music library, discounted instrument insurance, and more. Visit nfaonline.org to learn more and join today. We'd also like to acknowledge that today's online event is made possible with support from our members, our donors, and the Illinois Arts Council Agency. Thank you, and now I will hand it over to Roya and Ziqing.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Ziqing and I are both so thrilled to be talking about a topic that I think is something we think about often, but we don't actually put to action. So I'm excited to kind of talk about ways to get us more physically active while we are practicing or having a busy life. So I just wanted to introduce ourselves really quickly. So I'm Roya Farzaneh. I teach flute at East Tennessee State University. I also have a personal training certification through the CanFit Pro when I lived in Canada for a few years. I also have a fascial stretch certification as well. And, physical awareness and just feeling good while I play the flute has been such a passion in my life because I understand what it's like to hurt when you're playing. And so I have a goal to help people not hurt when they play. So Ziqing, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Ziqing Guan. I'm a flutist, of course, and also I am also a certified personal trainer by American Council on Exercise. And recently I found a musician wellness studio. So yeah, Roya, do you want to keep going to talk about a little bit more about?
For sure. And of course, so I'm so excited to be doing this with Ziqing. So Ziqing and I did our doctorates together at the University of South Carolina. And it's wonderful to work with someone who is a great friend and also has the same passions and interest as me. So yes, she's wonderful. So to get started, just kind of wanted to talk really quickly about a few things. So sorry if you hear beepings on my keyboard. There we go. So just a couple of questions to think about. So do any of these resonate with you? Do you play your flute for several hours a day, including practicing and sitting rehearsals? I think I could raise my hand confidently, and I think a lot of us could too. And then do you have an extremely busy work or study schedule? I think a lot of us are quite busy. Do you feel like you're not able to fit in exercise 3 to 4 times a week? And with exercise, I mean movements, just getting the body up and running, nothing crazy. And then also, do you ever experience any kind of pain in your neck, shoulders, and back, just all over your body? I think I could raise my hand 8,000 times for that. I don't know if anyone else could. So yeah, the last one is if this resonates with you, do you also feel like you have no time to fit in self-care in your day-to-day life? I also could raise my hand, my whole body for that one. So it's important to know that these things are all normal and that things that we all struggle with. And here's my fun slide of you're not alone. So today Ziqing and I are going to be talking about how to balance out having movement in your practice sessions in your daily life so we can lower the weighted scale. So we have up here our deadlines, our stress, we're working like crazy. We want to make that not so heavy, and we want to make the rest and the stretching and the exercise, we want it to be more balanced and not just heavy on one side. So with that being said, I think it's also important to talk about why is it important to move? Why is it important just to get going and not just be in our static flute position the entire time? So the first one, there's a plethora of reasons, so I'm just going to talk about a few. The first one is that it increases your blood flow, which makes you feel more refreshed. And what I mean by that is that, have you ever just practiced and just felt like you could not focus at all? You're trying to play something and you just head in the clouds, couldn't focus. Well, taking a 5-minute break, even a 2-minute break, just to stretch deeply will improve your blood circulation, which will make you increase focus and make you not feel so sluggish. I also suggest stretching with movement, which is called dynamic stretching, which also helps you get out of that stagnant pose, which we're always just kind of sitting there and playing. I always like to reference playing Tafnel and Gobert. If I'm just sitting there like a statue, of course I'm going to be kind of exhausted. So if I incorporate a little bit of movement in my stretching in between, it really helps get that blood flow going, which then goes to your brain, makes you feel more alert. So then the next one is you're less likely to hurt yourself while playing your instrument. The most important thing we should do as musicians and as people is to listen to our bodies. So if you wake up feeling tense in the morning and you just go straight to practicing without any sort of warm up to your body, you're going to be more than likely to hurt yourself or cause even more tension over time. So just like athletes, musicians use muscles that are tight and we can get hurt. I love to say, I wish I can remember who said this. I heard once they said that musicians are athletes of the tiny muscles because we're, using our little fingers. So I agree. I think we're athletes in, maybe in a different sense, but we use our body tremendously, especially as flute players. So I think that's also important to recognize. So then the next thing is, of course, with more movement, it helps correct your posture and imbalances with your body. So, to be honest, playing the flute is not the most natural position in the world, right? We're very lopsided. We all kind of hang to one side. And not just that being lopsided a bit, we also tend to round our shoulders when we're playing. When we're playing something intense and stressful, we kind of hunch over, lean into our stands. I'm guilty of this. I think a lot of us are. So taking those few minutes in between practice sessions just to get some stretch and movement going will help prevent these overall posture changes from happening. And then the next one, which I think, is you'll increase your stamina. So if your muscles are loose and relaxed, you'll be able to practice for longer. At some point, we've had to stop because of fatigue in our arms, back, and shoulders. There have been so many times in my life where I've been trying to practice and my arm is just so tired because I'm getting more and more tense. So over time, when I've started to stretch more and learn more about this, I've learned that I can actually play for it a lot longer because my, joints are more fluid, everything is going, and I'm not so stiff and tense the whole time. In addition, with increasing stamina, this also helps increase breath support as well. So we can, maybe breathe for a little bit longer, have more expansion in our lungs, and overall just feel better. And maybe I'm biased, but I think the most important one is that it helps to reduce stress. I think we could all reduce stress in our life. I wish there was a magic, solution for that, but I think stretching and movement is a close one to that. So not only does stretching reduce physical stress in the body, but it also can help us mentally. So if we relax our muscles, it tricks our brain into thinking that we're more calm mentally. So this will lead to a more effective playing, feeling better physically, and having better focus, which will then make you hopefully play better. So it's kind of like tricking your body into feeling good, so then you feel good in here as well, which who doesn't want that? Awesome. So enough with me rambling. We're going to pass it on to Ziqing, and she's going to talk about some steps and then going into a warm-up.
All right. Hi, thank you, Roya. So talking about the steps, of course, the first of all, I think it's very important is like we need to build a healthy daily practice routine that includes appropriate breaks in between so that we are not overused our muscles. And also then we need to add some like flexibility exercise or strengthening exercise during our breaks time that could help us to prevent the future injury. And then for that, we develop like 2 different models. Like one is for specific for the music college students who have like busy lesson schedules daily and also practice. And the other model is for freelance musicians who have enhanced rehearsal schedules. So these 2 different models is like based on our experience, like as a music students, and also me and Roya's like playing in the orchestra for a long time, that I have long time rehearsals. So yeah, before that, I think it's the very important is like, before we go dive into these two models, I want to tell you about something like very important we need to do daily before you have your flute, pick up your flute. It's your body warm up. So why we need the body warm up? It's like it helps you to increase blood flow to warm up your joints and muscles, and also it helps you to reduce your potential muscle injury in the future. More importantly, it's like prepare your body and your mind to practice your flute or to go to rehearse. So yeah, as like what Roya said, as being as musician, also an athlete, why we are not doing some body warm up before before us playing the flute. So next, I will gonna introduce like 4 different exercises for you to do some body warm up and one like a breathing exercise. So if you are comfortable and you can stand up or you can just sit down right here doing some warm up exercise with me. The first one is called the arm circles. This one is very easy that you can put both arms extended. Roya, could you help me to click the pictures? Thank you. Yeah, extend your both arms on the side of your body. And we can start with a small circles in the clockwise direction. And then we gently, slowly drawing a bigger circle until up to your limitation. Slowly. That's very good exercise to help you to warm up your shoulder joints and your shoulder blades muscles. And then up to your limits, and then we stop. We're going back to the counterclockwise direction from the biggest circle you made. And we come back slowly to the smallest circle. Good. And then the next one is very common as a neck rotation exercise, which is easy for us to do. Just rotate your neck slowly from one direction. You can do clockwise or counterclockwise direction. We slowly rotate our neck around 5 times. And then we switch to the other direction. Good. All right. So the next exercise is called oblique twist. This one you might want to stand up because it's like easier for you to find the balance. So you will have your both feet, both legs like shoulder wide, and then we have both arms extended to your side of your body. We slowly twist our upper torso to one side, either left or right. And then we twist our body coming back and to the other side. This is the good exercise for you to activating your core muscles before you playing your flute. You know, sometimes we didn't think about that, but actually we are using a lot of core support to play your flute. So this is a good exercise to activating those muscles. Okay, we can do it like for 10 times. And the next one, it's called hip circles, which is also, you will need to do it on standing position. So this one is just like you're circling your hip joints from the front to the side and back, side, and coming back to the front as wide as you can. fully activating your joint muscles, your hip muscles, because we might have like long time standing while you practicing either, or long time sitting while you rehearsing. So that's very important for us to activating those muscles first. And then we can switch to the other direction. Front, side, back, side, front. Nice. And then the next one, I have one breathing exercise. I think it's very important for us to warm up your flute, because we are flutists. Breathing is very important, and especially like during in the morning time, you might not ready to take a very full deep breath, right? So this exercise, just like we start from the chest, both hands put it on in front of your chest. We're starting with a slow deep breath to feel your chest up and down. We do it 3 times. And then we move our hands to the end of your rib cage. So you feel the fully expand of your rib cage and collapse. After 3 times, we move our hands to your belly, also feeling it fully expand and collapse. Then, now you're ready to practice or rehearse.
All right. So now that we're nice and warmed up, we're going to go through 2 different routines that Ziqing mentioned. So with both of these routines, like she just said, these warm-ups that she just did, this should be done for everyone all the time. And you know, we took some time to explain all of them, but imagine on your own, literally 2 minutes or less. And then I don't know about you guys, but just doing all those, I feel so much more just fluid automatically. And they're so simple. So something easy to kind of, you know, not have to have something you look at every day to, you can kind of just memorize them and learn. So like Ziqing had said, there's the 2 routines. So we're going to talk about being a music student in school. And then Ziqing will then go through being in a rehearsal setting, a freelance musician who is sitting more in rehearsals all day. And I think it's important to note for that one, we're not trying to say, you know, this is for everyone. So I feel like, you know, we can play in, you know, the biggest orchestra in the world or play in our community band. We all have gone through a day of a dress rehearsal and then a concert. So just wanted to keep that in mind. But I'm going to be starting with the music student routine. So here we have just kind of a breakdown of a typical day of a music student. These days are very familiar to me, you know, past life. So, you know, we start our morning as a student. We just think back to kind of a generic day. You know, we have our class, say you went to your theory class, and then you have an hour break. So we go from our class, and then we go into our first practice session. So you'll see there's that 60-minute class, and then practice session 1, which is 25 minutes. And then you'll see there's that little sliver of pink. Those are where you'll do your pre-practice warm-up routines that Ziqing had included. And those take 2 to 3 minutes, not much time. So as a music student, we pretend we just went to our theory class, we passed our solfege exams, and now we went to go warm up. Oops. So we just warmed up, and then we just practiced for 25 minutes. So now it's time for us to take a little break. So maybe you've warmed up your flute, you warmed up your body, and now you're starting to feel a little bit stiff and tense. So we're going to take 2 minutes just to do a few exercises, stretches just to get the body moving and flowing. And just like what Ziqing said, if you're able to stand up and do these, you can join me. There's also options to do these while all seated as well. It's also important to know that everything we do, there's modifications, and you can always ask in the chat or reach out to us as well. So we just did our Taffy Bear for 25 minutes, and we take a break. So the first one is we're going to be doing, is you can do this seated or standing, is we're going to be doing a side bend. Super simple, very similar to the exercises that Ziqing did with the hip twist and whatnot. So you're just gonna have your feet about hip width apart, just feeling really secure. Or if you're seated, just sitting with your sit bones on the chair. And you're just gonna have your hands over your head and making sure that your shoulders don't raise with it. You keep those shoulders down and your arms are up here. And if you find that to be too painful, you don't have to go really high. And then all you're just gonna do is just lean to the side. And you just hold that for a few seconds. And then you'll just go straight to the other side. And you want to try to make sure that you keep your legs fairly straight, but not locking your knees. And you don't want to keep going too far. You don't want to overstretch, just a little stretch. And so let's do the other side one more time. And then we'll go back to the other side. So just like Ziqing said in our warm-up, we use so much of our core support. So this is a great way to stretch the oblique muscles, especially like how I also mentioned we are very lopsided musicians. We tend to naturally kind of stretch one side and condense and compress the other side. So this kind of helps make us feel a bit more balanced. So the next one, simple enough, is a forward bend. And similar to, if you're seated, you can also just lean forward in the chair as well. But for now, I'll show the standing example. So with this one, it's very simple to say just to lean forward and touch your toes, but we're going to be a little bit more active than that. So just like with the other position, your feet will be hip width apart. And then when you lean forward, I want you to lean and go from the hips first, like this, instead of leading with the arms and the shoulders. Do you see how my back kind of rounds like this? We don't want that for right now. I want you to kind of think pushing from the hips, and then you reach down and touch the ground. Let me see if I can get a better camera angle on that. So by having a slightly straighter back here, we're getting a bit more of a stretch in the lower back and in the hamstrings. And then now, after you've stayed in this position for a little bit, now I want you to roll your shoulders a bit forward more. So now you can kind of round your back. And then this stretch gets a bit more of your shoulder blades and the middle of your back. And if it feels good, you can kind of sway side to side just to get a little bit of movement going. And then as you come up, I always suggest coming up really slowly and thinking about stacking a vertebrae in your spine one at a time as you come back up to standing. So that way we don't get dizzy or anything like that. So when you're ready, you can come back up to standing. Slowly. And then the next standing one is a leg swing. If you're seated, you can sit on your chair and do a leg kick. But for now, we'll do a standing leg swing. Move my camera again. So this one, similar, same thing. All of these are just hip width apart, nothing different there with your feet. So if you need to hold on to something, please do. I have a shelf here, favorite chair, whatever you need. And it's not just kicking your leg back and forth without thinking about it. I want you to think about keeping your hips pretty neutral and in the same spot. So then when you bring your leg forward, like this, you're not moving the hip and it's not rotating. So you're gonna bring it forward and then back ever so slightly. Forward and then back. And we wanna prevent a twist at all cost, like that. We just want it to be forward and back. This is a great stretch to get our front hip flexors moving and also to activate the glute muscles as well, which is really important for core strength. And then you'll switch and do the other side. And you'll find too, if you're like me, my front hip flexors are always so tight, especially if we're sitting in rehearsal or sitting in class all day. So this is such a great stretch for that. So just do it, about 5 times on each side and never be afraid to overdo it. Great. And then the last one we're gonna go through is, maybe I'm biased, this is my favorite one. So it's like a back wall stretch. So you can do a wall or you can use the back of your chair for this one. I always think the back of the chair is a bit easier because those are always around. I guess a music stand, but it's not as secure. So what we're gonna do for this is we're just gonna keep our feet, same thing as all 4 of them, hip width apart. And then similar to that forward fold, you're gonna hinge and bend from the hips, and then you're gonna have your hands on the chair or wall, and then you're just gonna push your behind back and let your back be straight. So by doing this, I want you to think about pushing from here, from your behind back, the other way. And then now I want you to think about pulling your arms away from you. So it's kind of like we're stretching ourselves out. So thinking of opposite, you push your bum back and then you push your arms forward. And then if you want to, you can also kind of round your back and curve your back, a bit like a cat-cow pose in yoga, if you're familiar. This just gets the spine kind of moving a bit. And then always breathing as well. All right, and then you can slowly come back up. Great. So of course I explained all those and it took a bit of time, but you know, if you've just done those 4 exercises in a mini practice section, 2 minutes, and then you're back and ready to go. Awesome. And then we finished our practice section for the hour. So now we have to, unfortunately, go to class after. But before we go to class, we need to stretch, which I think is very important. Again, so we imagine you're a student, you had class, you practice for a little bit, a tiny little break, and then you practice again, and now you have your little 2-minute stretching. So 3 more stretches. And these, I like these a lot because they're kind of hitting a lot of muscle groups at once. So for this one with our hip flexor stretch, you're gonna kind of be in a little baby lunge position. And what I mean by that is I don't want you to feel like you gotta be, you know, crazy far back. Just have one foot like just a little bit in front of the other one. Just like if you're taking a little bit of a bigger step, like jumping over a puddle. And then you're gonna bend that knee. And then I want you just to lean your upper body back ever so slightly until you feel a stretch in your hip flexor. And then you'll raise the arm that has the leg back. So the leg that is back, that is the arm that's gonna raise. And then you're just gonna lean to the side ever so slightly, just a little bit. And lean in the opposite direction, lean towards the knee that's bent. Sorry for my clarification. So you'll lean over just a tiny bit towards that bent knee. And if you're like, oof, this is way too much, get even closer with your feet. You can just not even bend the knee and you can just push your hip forward a little bit and lean. Also does a great stretch as well. And as you breathe, you'll just hold it for 10 seconds or so. And then we'll switch and do the other side. So then you'll change your feet. So the opposite leg now will be bent. The other one back a little bit, or if that's too much, just keep it just a little bit back and lean back with your hip. So just lean back ever so slightly, not too much. We don't want to back bend, just enough to push this out to stretch your hip flexors. And then raise the same arm with the leg that's back. And then you're going to lean towards the bent knee. You might feel one side more than the other. I definitely do. Great. And then two more simple ones. And these can be done while seated if you like, seated or standing, either, whatever is comfortable with you. If imagine you're a student, you know, packing up your bags, you might be standing. So this next one is just a really great chest stretch. So you're gonna just put your hands like this, intertwined behind your head, as such, kind of like you're relaxing on the beach, right? That's what I always like to think of. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna keep a flat back, everything pretty neutral. Try not to lean too far forward, and I want you to just push your elbows back ever so slightly. So imagining it's like a butterfly position. So just a little bit farther back. You should feel a small pinch. I shouldn't say pinch, a small compression in the shoulder blades back here. And so what I want you to do is I want you to do a little bit of movement with this one. So I want you to bring your arms in and then push them back out. And making sure our shoulders are dropped and relaxed. And then do that 5 times. I love this one. I think it feels so good. I mean, I love all the ones that we're doing today, but I like this one a lot. Excellent. And then the last one, also very simple and very effective, is we're gonna now stretch the rhomboids and middle trap area in our back. So we just worked on opening the front, so now we're gonna work on stretching back in here. So also not too complex, you can stay seated for this one as well. And all I want you to do is put your hands forward as such. If you wanna intertwine them, you can, whatever's comfortable with you. And all you're gonna do is on purpose actually shrug and lean forward. So I want you to look down at a 45 degree and then just bring your shoulders and round your back. And you should feel a good stretch up in here. And you might think this feels counterintuitive because we're trying not to hunch over, but I think this pairs very well with the chest stretch we just did. It's almost like pretend you're reaching for something that's in front of you that you can't grab. And you can just hold this for 10 to 15 seconds. And then you can come back up. I always like to do some circles or something. Awesome. So then you just finished your hour practice session. You went to class. Now it's time for lunch and then time to go to orchestra rehearsal. And then, with the portion of talking about how to make this easy in our life, if you go practice again later in the evening as a student, just do all the same stretches that you just did. They're all great. They hit all the muscle groups that you need. And they leave you refreshed, and then you don't have to think about a bajillion different things. You can just think about a handful of exercises all at once. So hopefully that shows as a music student, it's very capable and possible to get in exercise and movement in a tiny amount of time. I always feel like, you see these type of classes and you think we're going to be doing jumping jacks and crazy things and running all over the place. That's the farthest thing from it for us right now. It's just about being realistic and what can work in a daily life. And I think that these can work in a daily life. I always like to practice what I preach, and if I couldn't make these work, I wouldn't share them with you guys either. But awesome. So now we're gonna move on to Ziqing, and she's gonna take you through the idea of being a freelance musician.
All right. Thank you, Roya. That's great. So, well, we just talked about like the music students are going to rehearse in the afternoon for like the orchestra rehearsal and other ensemble rehearsals. Like it could be about like 2 or 3 hours long. And also like as a freelance musicians, we also have like long rehearsals like before the concert or something like it's very intense. So you probably, in the long duration rehearsal, you may feel your flute dropping down while you feel your muscle getting fatigued. And also sometimes you will notice that because we so focus on reading the music and our head, it's just like have a lot of like forward head posture like this. Your head is not really lining up with your shoulder, because we just like, oh my God, the music is so hard and we so focus on playing it. We totally forget we have to like bring our posture back. I mean, keep our body line up. And then with the long time sitting doing in the rehearsal, your lower back, of course, is then gonna get pain. And you just like, oh, what can I do, right? So the next, I'm going to talk about some like freelance musician routine. So it's because like we have like long time sitting in rehearsals, and sometimes it's like without much breaks to move around. So we need to create some kind of sort of breaks for ourselves to take a like 3 minutes sitting breaks time for ourselves to relax our muscles and to just move around in this like chair and stand, this tiny space, right? So in this routine, I developed total like 4 different city breaks in every 30 minutes rehearsal. Like you can do like in every 20 to 30 minutes rehearsals, and then you have a few minutes city breaks for yourself. And then we have a standing breaks in the middle, in between, like probably 1.5 hours. In the standing breaks, you totally can do those exercises that Roya introduced in the for the music students. That's totally good for the standing breaks. So the next part I explain is more on the seated breaks, what you can do while you have this limited space and with the chair, and you cannot stand up, and what you can do during this time. All right. So the next, the first one, it's very similar to Roya's the chest stretch, but this one is more like you will have your hands behind your back, because during the rehearsal you're doing this. That's right. That's weird, right? It's the conductor might be what you are doing right here. So we can totally do it behind you have like interlock your hands and then behind your back to stretch your chest. Or if you want, you can also have your both hands holding the chair back so that you can also stretch with your chest. So I think this is very good during the rehearsals. You can stretch your chest a little bit. We can hold it for just like 10 seconds or 20 seconds if you want. And you will feel the squeeze of your shoulder blades. That's good. And also you will feel like you open up more on your chest. That's what we need, because we have a lot of time like holding the flute, and we have like round the shoulder on this position. So open up our chest is a very good stretch. And then the next one I have is the crossover arm stretch. Since like we holding our instrument for so long, of course you will feel soreness on your shoulder area. So for this exercise, what you need to do is just like bring probably your right arms up, and then we cross in front of your body and use your left hand to support the elbows and gently push your right arms towards to yourself so that you can feel the stretch on your shoulder areas right here. And also it could be stretch your back, the upper back right here as well. Gently push it. Don't hurt yourself. And we stay there for like 10 seconds. And then we can switch to the other side. You can do the same thing on your left arm. Use your right arm supporting and gently push your left arm towards your body. Hold it there for 10 seconds. Nice. And the next one we have is the wrist and hand stretch, which is very important for us, like during your practicing or during your rehearsal, have like so much like technical stuff, and your hands maybe just like so tense and you feel numb, or sometimes we have a lot of like tension in our hand position. So this is very good exercise to relax your wrist and relax your hands. So what you need to do is bring your right hand in front of your body, and then we have our palms towards to the up to the ceiling, and we gently use our left hand to push your right hand down towards to the ground, so that you can feel the stretch in the front of your forearms area right here. Gently push. Don't hurt yourself. And we stay there for 5 to 10 seconds. Now, we flip your palm face to the ground, and we use your left hand, gently pull your right hand down, and you will feel the stretch on the top of your forearms right here. And then we can switch to your left hand. Doing the same thing, hands up towards to the ceiling, and use our right hand, gently pull your left hand down. And then we flip over, hands facing, palm facing to the ground, and right hand gently pull it. Nice. Okay. And the next exercise is the chin tucks. It's one of my favorites. Like what I said, because sometimes we just like too much focusing on playing the music, or sometimes we maybe spend too much time on our phone or reading or doing work on the laptop. So the forward head position is like easy to build up. This exercise is very easy to do, and it's like to quickly fix your posture. So what you need to do is just like neutral, relaxed shoulder, neutral spine, and sit up straight. Use one hand, either left or right. That's totally fine. And we gently put it under the chin right here, and we gently push your chin backward. And then you can feel a little bit stretch on the back of your neck area. We stay there for 5 seconds. And you may notice you have double chins right now, but that's totally fine. And we come back to the normal position. Relax a little bit, and then we do it again. 5 seconds. After this exercise, you will feel your head and shoulder is gonna line up again. Okay, one more time. Nice. Roya, would you mind to help me to click the next? Thank you.
I could stay in the chin tuck forever, so sorry.
All right, so the next one is the seated hamstring stretch, which it's very similar to the stretch that Roya explained in the bend forward hamstring stretch, but this one is because we cannot stand up. We can only do like seated, and how we're gonna do this stretch is just like you can sit like about 1/3 of the chair, like just like moving a little bit forward. And then we have our, if you can see me, let me adjust a little bit. Okay, so you will have one leg extend out and heel on the ground, and you will have your toes building up to the ceiling. And if in this position, if you've already feel the stretch, that's good. But if not, or if you want more, we can lean forward a little bit and make sure you are keeping your back straight. We lean forward a little bit to feel the hamstring stretch a little bit more. And then we can hold it there for 10 to 15 seconds. And also at the same time, you can extend your arms. If you want to extend your arms so that you can also stretch your upper back. and then we come back to the normal position. Now we change to the other leg. Heel on the ground and your toes face up to the ceiling. We lean our upper body to the front, extend our arms. Hold it there for 10 seconds. Wonderful. And because we are already sit here, or maybe we sit here for an hour or an hour and a half, it's long. And basically while you're sitting, our quad muscle, which is the front of your side right here, it's being lengthening. And your hamstring, which is on the back of your side right here, it's being shortening. So that's why we need to stretch your hamstring. And we need to do some activating, re-activating exercise with your quad muscles right here. This way it's help to, one is help to activate the muscles and also prevent the injury for your knee as well. So what you need to do for this exercise, you can have your both hands, if you want the balance, you can have your both hands placed on the chair so that you can keep the balance. And first of all, you need to engage your core muscle. And then we have one leg extend out so that you can feel the construction of the quad muscles right here. Stay there for 1 or 2 seconds and we come back to the normal position. We just repeat it for 10 times, one leg. All right. After 10 times, we can switch to your other leg. And do your right leg or your left side if you did it. So this is all like easy exercise that help you to can stretch and also help you to keep your body activating during the rehearsals and help you to keep your blood flow. All right, thank you.
All right. So congratulations, you just finished a long day of flute playing. Whether you were a music student or you were a freelance, you had a dress rehearsal and a concert the same day. Regardless, it's the end of your practice day and we need to now cool down our muscles to help prevent injuries in the future. And we all want to be happy just like this cat. So, so I have just 3 really short cool down exercises because if you're like me, I know after a concert or after a long day, I just want to go home so fast. So this is just really quick little exercises that take minimal effort, which you can stay seated for the first 2, or you can stand, whichever you're comfortable with. So the first one is our deltoids and traps stretch. So deltoids is basically our shoulder muscles. So I'm going to stand up to show this one, but you can also do it seated. So this one, I love this one. I know Ziqing also loves this one too. So, you know, we've all kind of stretched leaning to one side before, but this one is just going to amplify it a little bit because we're so warmed up at the end of the day, we can kind of go into a little bit of a deeper stretch. So what you're going to do is we'll take your right hand and you're going to put it back behind you as far as you can. Don't try to overdo it. And then you're just going to grab that arm with the opposite arm. So your right arm is the one that's straight-ish. And then what you're gonna do is then you're now gonna have your head go to the left side towards the bent arm. And you should feel a really active stretch on the top of the shoulders, in the neck muscles, feels really good. And then we'll hold that for 10 to 15 seconds. If you want to have a little bit of movement, you can kind of windshield wiper your neck a little bit up and down, get some movement going if you feel comfortable with that. If not, you can just hold it still. So now we'll take the opposite side. So we'll take our left hand, our left arm going across our back, and you can grab it with that right hand, however, whatever feels comfortable. And you're gonna pull it towards you a little bit, and then now your head leaning to the right side. Once again, you can do little half circles with your neck if you feel comfortable doing that, or you can just hold it stationary. Great. And then the next one, I keep saying they're all my favorites, but I really like this one a lot too. So I mentioned at the beginning, I have a fascial stretch certification, and this exercise kind of helps manipulate the fascia in your body, which is basically just the protective layer around your muscles. That's the long story short of fascia. So what we're gonna do with this stretch is we're gonna work on stretching the front muscles. I think we neglect these all the time. We have our scalene muscles, which start back here, but they wrap around all the way to the front and connect with our bone here. And we have a bunch of other muscles going on in here. And as flute players, you know, we're so closely related to singers, we have to be really open and relaxed in our throats to play. So this is a great stretch for that. So what you're gonna do is you're just gonna place your right hand on your collarbone, almost like, I guess, Pledge of Allegiance sort of stance, if you're familiar with that. And then you're just gonna lightly, gently just push into yourself, just ever so slightly, just push into yourself. And then I want you to look up diagonally opposite of your hand to the side. And you should feel a huge stretch in the front side of your neck. And if you don't feel it too much, you can use your hand to push your skin kind of downward a little bit. This is a huge stretch for me. We hold this for 10 to 15 seconds. And then we'll switch into the other side. So same thing, having your hand placed kind of like right below your collarbone, gently press. And then you're gonna push it a little bit, and then you're gonna look up diagonally in the opposite direction. You might feel one side is more tense than the other side. All right, great. And then the very last one is another chest stretch. We know there's a big theme, a lot of chest stretches, because just like Ziqing and I have been saying, you know, even outside of the flute, we're at our computers a lot of the day, right? And we're very hunched over people, it's just natural how it is. So anything to get us open is so important. So very similar to the arms like this. If you have a wall, you can use a wall. If you have a door or something, you can use that. If not, you can just have your arm at a kind of like a football goal with one arm, and then you just push it back ever so slightly. So you here, and then you just push it back a little bit. And then you feel a stretch in that shoulder. And if you have a wall or a door, you can, let me see if I can use my bookshelf. You can put your hand up here against the wall, and then you can kind of rotate away from it as well. So, but for now, so we all have doors next to us, just at a 90-degree angle and pushing it back. And then we'll switch and do the other side. So up at a 90-degree angle, football post, and then just push it back. And if you have a wall, you just rest your hand up against the wall and rotate your body a little bit. All right, excellent. So this is the end of the day for you if you imagining what kind of day you had being a musician or being a student or a freelance musician, whatever the case may be. So of course we went through a lot of these stretches today, but imagine on your own in your daily routine and without having us talking your heads off through the explanations, they all take 2 minutes at most. So really, like we said, really practical, easy way to incorporate these things into your daily life. Especially the seated ones that Ziqing talked about. I think that's something we always forget about, that in rehearsal and those tiny little breaks, you can, get something in there really quickly, which I think is really important. Cool. So to kind of wrap up, so I know we went through a lot of exercises today, just to talk about where to find more information. Ziqing, do you want to talk about this?
Oh, sure. So if you want to know more about this kind of prevention exercise, I have my doctoral documents for injury prevention exercise guidelines for flutists. So you can easily find out online and you can download it. That's a whole guidelines book, not book, but just a document. Like I have explained the exercise and how do you do that, and show the pictures and muscles you were gonna use in the exercise, and how many sets and reps you need to do. So you feel free to find this guidelines. And also because I mentioned I have I just found the musician wellness studio. If you're interested in doing some more this kind of exercise with me, I going to the musician wellness studio, and also can follow our musician wellness studio Instagram. And Roya, you will have your
Yeah, so I just, if you ever have questions about learning more about fascia stretching and different modalities outside of stretching, please feel free to email me. There's not enough time, of course, in our session to dive into what the body can do, and how we can, manipulate ourselves with self-massage, trigger point therapy, and other sort of movements, which is something that I love to talk about. So if you have any questions, always you can email me about that.
So, and the last, the Musician Wellness Studio is gonna have our Intro to Mindfulness for Musicians with Dr. Jennifer Parker Hallett, who is our fantastic doctoral mentors with for Roya and me, and she's a professor of flute, and she also she will present her Intro to Mindfulness for Musicians. And it's the 4-week class, and it's all virtual. Start from April 1st to April 22nd, 6 p.m. Is time zone, and probably it's like 5 5 p.m. like for the central time zone. Yeah, if you're interested, you can register now and just scan the QR code in the bottom. Thank you.
Yes, thank you all so much for being here today and joining Ziqing and I and talking about all these different exercises. And hopefully you'll notice how simple everything is and how the goal is just to make it attainable and realistic for all of us in our daily life. I know we're kind of at 4 o'clock right on the dot, but if there's any questions or anything, please, feel free to let us know. Yeah.
Thank you for joining us today.
Wonderful. Well, if there's no questions, like I said, I wonder if, can I go backspace? I'm not very savvy with technology. Oh, no, I can't. Oh, you can, like I said, if you wanted to see the information once again to contact us for information, please feel free to do so. But yes, thank you all again for coming, and thank you so much to the National Flute Association for having us. Feel very honored and privileged to share this information with all of you.
Okay, great. Well, I will just go ahead and close this out. Thank you to Roya and Ziqing, and thank you everyone who attended today's online event. A recording of this event will be published on the NFA YouTube channel later this week. If you'd like to see the schedule of our upcoming online events, visit nfaonline.org/events. To learn more about other news and events, be sure to follow us on social media at NFA Flute or visit our website at nfaonline.org. Thank you again.